So what is your sales strategy?
So coming to sales strategy, see, if you have to do business with the government, you have to go through tenders. So like in any conventional or traditional businesses, you have to actually go door to door, do sales meetings and organize calls. Yes, we have to do that for private sector, but for government, it is different.
When you are working with government, it's a hard-earned taxpayers' money which government
True.
is spending on infrastructure. So we are part of infrastructure.
True.
So transparency is a key factor. That's why it's unlike other businesses. Our sales is not really a sales. It is really a service to the nation.
But apart from raising money, what other factors govern this decision कि हमें IPO लाना है और ध्रुव को लिस्ट करवाना है?
So important benefits of listing, basically again the financial. One is that you start building your own net worth.
Right, true.
Now, before listing, my net worth was say X crore rupees. Now today it is 100X only because of listing.
कि political will is very important. Finally, काम कोई करे. So, is there actually a difference? Because now you are on the inside. When you have been working with successive governments, when there was a different political ideology, today it's a different political ideology.
Yes, political will does play an important role, and in fact, because they are the decision makers of the country, and if there is no will of the government, then however, whatever we do, I think जैसे चल रहा है वैसे चलेगा.
And so state governments में, you see the difference in approach. So you are dealing with various 28 states you just mentioned.
In few of the infrastructure departments, the heads are engineers. In few of the infrastructure department, head are IAS. We are involved in the projects emotionally, whereas bureaucrats like IAS, they are looking at in a broader angle.
Shweta, Dhruv Consultancy mein what has been very fascinating about their journey? If you can just share some insights.
Dhruv Consultancy Ltd is very fascinating as a company because they are into infrastructure consulting and audit, and the only company to be listed in that space, you know. And so I think that is fantastic, the vision, getting listed and coming out and being so unique in that space makes it a very interesting company to know. The second very interesting aspect is the father-daughter relationship. Mr. Dandawate, who came from government background, started the company, you know, quite late in life, and then bringing his daughter Tanvi and giving her the reins of the company in her 20s is, I think, a brilliant thing and very rare in the Indian business ecosystem. So I would want to reach out to all our audience and all viewers. This is a story and discussion that you should not miss. If you are in the infrastructure space, or you are a female leader, or you are a leader who is trying to build a great company. So now we will first begin talking about the business as a whole. Business के सारे key elements जो एक business को profitable and sustainable बनाता है, उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. And the most important part, we will start with the sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Because that is where the money flows into the business. That enables us to do a lot of things. So now we understand the business of Dhruv Consultancy Limited. So
Yes.
primarily बहुत बड़ा portion is coming from government.
Yes.
At various levels, state and center involved. So what is your sales strategy for the government business, private business के लिए क्या strategy है? That is something that we wanted to understand first.
So coming to sales strategy, see, if you have to do business with the government, you have to go through tenders. So like in any conventional or traditional businesses, you have to actually go door to door, do sales meetings and organize calls. Yes, we have to do that for private sector, but for government, it is different. You have to keep a check on what tenders are going to come, which can be done sitting in your office. Now, the systems are quite transparent through websites like e-tendering. Even we have NHI and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways where we bid. they have their own portals where these tenders keep on coming. Now, once these tenders are submitted, there needs to be a follow-up, that if there is any documentation that is pending, if in case something has been missed out from us or from them, you need to keep a follow-up. So licensing has to be there with the client, maybe not a direct door-to-door sales strategy. So what we have done is that we have deployed one licensing person at each client office in Delhi or in wherever states we bid in. Those people take care and ensure that, okay, there has been no flaws in our submission, and usually chances are very low because we have been doing this since last 23 years now. So our tender submission and award of work is entirely automated. Even we as top management or even the second line that we have today, even they don't look into tendering. We have a separate team who takes care of the documentation. We have a separate team who takes care of what people are going to work on the particular project. So calling them. So yes, they have to make some telemarketing kind of calls to each and every professional who's going to be there on the project, who we are going to propose for the project. So for that, we have a talent recruitment team who sits in the office itself. Yeah. And for private, it is done in the conventional way. Like, you have to go door to door, you have to send emails, you have to ensure. But in infrastructure sector, credibility plays, and pride actually plays a very important role, because these people whom we are dealing with in the private sector have crores of millions and billions of turnovers.
Very large players.
Yeah. So they are high in, they are very high in pride. They have high egos also in some cases. So you need to have a very specific, unique strategy when it comes to targeting these people also.
Sales also important in international markets. So we have already entered into international market, and 150 plus tenders are already submitted. So we have separate team for international bidding. It's giving a income in dollar, which is helpful to our country's economy also. One more thing I would like that when you are working with government, it's a hard earned taxpayers' money which government is spending on infrastructure. So we are part of infrastructure. So transparency is a key factor. That's why it's unlike other businesses. Our sales is not really a sales. It is really a, you can say, a service to the nation.
True.
And we have to be very, very careful while bidding also, while interacting with the client also, and while executing the projects also.
So, इस business में जब आप government के साथ primarily deal करते हो, आपके लिए networking, how is it different from how all of us look at networking? How is it?
Networking in a private sector or in any private business is totally different. In a government, networking is totally different. What Tanvi said, importantly, you have to keep a licensing officer placed at that like headquarters in Delhi or in Maharashtra, and we have to be in touch with them, client, on daily basis.
Okay.
There are 2-3 reasons. Tenders once floated goes to the public domain. So there absolutely no networking is needed, because the company who scores highest marks and technical plus financial score is highest, they will get the work. So there is no role of licensing or no role of networking as far as government jobs are concerned. But yes, in a private sector, you need a strong network, very strong network, marketing. Like we have the equipment bank. State-of-art equipment bank, most of them are imported. And to deploy that machines for testing and completion of the projects, after completion of the projects, it is a basically concessionary or contractor's responsibility. So huge business is there in private sector also, which we are capturing since last 1.5 to 2 years. That is the real networking required. Now, one more, again coming back to that associate.
Yes.
Now, why a big company should take you as an associate?
Right.
No. Simple answer is no.
They don't need.
Then
They don't need.
you have to do the networking. You have to put some pressure, or you have to show some strength.
Yes.
You have to bring in quality CVs. And touchwood, we were based, initial period, we were based in Maharashtra. And Maharashtra was having a infrastructure boom since 95, not today. And it's going up. Same time, Maharashtra also has a aim to reach to 1 trillion economy.
1 trillion.
So now you can imagine 20% of the business or money is in Maharashtra, and we are sitting in financial capital of India. So that time, local was our strength. That time, since I was an ex-government employee, my colleagues were ready to offer their CV after retirement to our assignments. So that was the strength.
Trust.
So you have to demonstrate the strength along with the networking.
True.
Now you might be aware, NIP, National Infrastructure Pipeline, one document is there, published by Ministry of Finance, Government of India. The outlay planned for 10 years was about 100 lakh crore. You cannot write this figure on the paper. 100 lakh crore Indian rupees. And 20 lakh crore were only for the road sector.
Okay.
Out of these spendings, now spendings are everywhere. Private sector, government sector, but dominantly, of course, government sector, infra. Only 5% is the consultancy market. But still it is very big.
Yeah.
Now
to 5%.
I am taking the project, say, supervision of the works. I am taking the project as 2%, roughly 2% of the project cost. So government is trusting on us for 98% spending. So suppose if we go wrong in a very minor way, it will have big negative impact on the project. Overall quality, cost overrun, time overrun, and ultimately economy of the country.
Right.
So this consultancy now majorly is only on road infrastructure projects or other type of projects also now down?
22, answering to your question, there are 22 infrastructure departments or sectors.
Okay.
You are aware only 5 or 6. Say highway, railways, metros, airports, power. So there are 22 sectors in infrastructure.
Okay.
Sure. So we'll come to the finance, which is very, very important. The backbone of any company, the economy of our country. And so sir just mentioned that being a listed company really helps your profile.
Yes.
When you want to bid for large projects, work with international consultants. Because infrastructure consultancy company getting listed is a very unique thing for them, and we don't have any competition who have done that. So, sir, what led to this entire listing process? I understand we have discussed in the past also. You got orders, you wanted to raise funds, but apart from raising money, what other factors governed this decision कि हमें IPO लाना है और ध्रुव को list करवाना है?
Basically, it was a need base, as you said. Our loan component was increasing and interest rates were going high. And last position came that company was taking a loan at the rate of 36% per annum. So it's a Pathani gas, but
very,
in
very
old era. So then. To whom we are doing the business? For whom we are doing the business?
Just for paying.
Only for paying the interest, paying the taxes to the government, and paying the salary to the employee.
Right.
Now, importantly, after 10-15 years of business, I felt that what I earned as a family, nothing, absolutely nothing.
True.
In fact, my properties were given as a collateral security. So always we were at the risk. And then one gentleman came and gave the idea of listing and benefits of listing. So important benefits of listing, basically again the financial. One is that you start building your own net worth.
Right, true.
Now, before listing, my net worth was say X crore rupees. Now today it is 100X only because of listing. Because after listing, we were holding 70% of the stocks.
Correct.
And we got listed at 44 rupees premium. So obviously मेरा जो 10 रुपए का शेयर था वो 4 times बढ़ गया, तो मेरा नेटवर्थ ऑटोमेटिकली उसी टाइम 4 times हो गया. So to make the money from the business, you have to do the ethical working, since we are working on an infrastructure sector, and our you can say mission vision is nation first. So we are not doing anything hanky panky to see that we are getting the money profits from the business. So instead of that, if we deliver the things on the project and project is completed ahead of schedule or with better quality, with better awards, then it goes to the markets.
Right.
And markets appreciate it. Suppose I am holding shares of about 1 crore in my own company. If the rate goes by 2 rupees up, so I am richer today by 2 crore. So one aspect is that.
Right.
Second aspect of benefit of listing is that more transparency, how the things were before listing and now how the things are today after listing.
And in fact, I want everybody to take notice of this fact that these are founders speaking about their journey and their experience, and not a merchant banker or market maker telling you why you should do listing.
You being Maharashtrians and especially being Brahmins and Maharashtrians, so a lot of people, they are not open to entrepreneurship. They don't take risks. Do you have any point of view? Maybe.
In fact, yesterday only I saw one YouTube channel wherein top 10 Maharashtrian businessmen they displayed. One was Vittal Kamath, another was Virendra Maiskar, third was Badwe from Pune, fourth was Ananda Deshpande. So they all are, I can say, multi-billion. It is not true that Maharashtrians cannot do the business. Yes, there was or Brahmins cannot do the business. Yes, when our generation or my father's generation, our struggle was for bread and butter.
Correct.
So bread and butter was coming from the job only, and to do the business you need a capital. So that capital was not there. Basically, if it is a farmer, again it is a different thing. If it is, I am a son of employee. What important is that to do the business, you need to have a capital. So now for our community, capital can be your brain.
True.
And that is working today. This computer age or now AI age.
The dynamics of business have changed.
Totally changed. Totally changed.
Very like.
पहले क्या था, अभी किराना दुकान चलाता है कोई, तो पहले उसको वो सामान लाने के लिए पैसा लगता था. Then he has to sell and make the profits and make the cash flows वगैरह वगैरह. Every business.
True.
So in this consultancy particularly or in AI era, your personality, your brain, your professionalism is the investment.
True. So, Casey, question.
I think already a lot of people have given clarity about this, but still people feel that यार मैं तो tax भर रहा हूँ, क्यों toll भी भरना पड़ता है, 20-30 kilometers के बाद भरना पड़ता है. Still people have.
If you want good infrastructure, you have to pay for it, and it is not taking from your pocket. Now I am quoting a simple example. Say Mumbai to Pune. You are traveling. You have two routes. One is non-toll, one is toll. Mumbai-Pune Expressway. If you travel by Mumbai-Pune Expressway, you will definitely reach from Navi Mumbai to Pune in 2 hours. Correct? True. Still there is a ghat, there is a traffic jam. So we are doing the missing link now. We prepared the DPR of that. Now that missing link itself is of 7 or 8,000 crore getting completed. Or Navi Mumbai Airport. So you are saving at least 1 hour. So what is your hourly cost? If the person traveling in a city bus or a state transport ST bus has a low cost. If person is traveling in a budget car, he has little bit more cost. If person is traveling alone in a Mercedes car, he has 1 hour else. So government is taking a part of the benefits you are getting. Number one. So time saving, fuel saving,
True.
Importantly, your damage to the vehicle saving and damage to the body saving. So if road is hanky-panky, so your back will start and you will go to the hospital and pay handsome bills to the doctors. So it is not that government is taking, it is only a way of collecting tax in a different way.
Okay.
You are already paying a vehicle tax.
Correct. Plus we pay GST, direct, indirect taxes. All
So toll is a tax. Toll is nothing else.
Okay. And now, where do you see the future now? Infrastructure, so next 5 years, 10 years, what is the kind of...
So putting 100 rupees in infrastructure increases your GDP 2.5 times.
Okay.
So from today till we achieve the 5 trillion economy or whatever aim further for the new governments after 2029, they have to improvise the speed of development of infrastructure doubly. Then and then only we can. So when this speed will increase, obviously the most beneficial will be the consultant. The lot of opportunities are coming in railway sector, metros, airports. Huge opportunities are there. Huge.
Okay.
Few of the cases there are no bidders. So infrastructure is priority number one for this government.
Okay.
And it will remain priority because we are almost 10 years behind the world, developed world. And again, Vikasit Bharat, jo Honorable Prime Minister bolte hai, developed India by 2047. So that we may not be there, we may be there, I don't know. So 2047, Vikasit Bharat, to reach to that level, only infrastructure has to match to the world level. Okay. You might have traveled in Europe or America or even in Southeast countries. The quality of the roads, quality of the trains. In Japan, we went last year. Quality of the bullet trains. Now we are getting that. But we are fortunate, all our generation, including me, is fortunate enough that we are part of that development and we will get good fruits.
True. And so, sir, and Tanvi, you can also, because you have worked in the last 10 years, sir ne pehle bhi government ke saath kaam kiya hai. We talk, though we know a lot of policy is driven by bureaucrats, but political will की बहुत बात होती है इंडिया में कि political will is very important. Finally काम कोई करे. So is there actually a difference, because now you are on the inside when you have been working with successive governments where there was a different political ideology, today it's a different political ideology?
Yes, political will does play an important role, and in fact, because they are the decision makers of the country, and if there's no will of the government, then however, whatever we do, I think जैसे चल रहा है वैसे चलेगा. Like in our case also, if we wouldn't have got listed or didn't have the vision of getting listed, we wouldn't have been here. We still would have been a 30 to 40 crores company, 15 to 30 double हो जाता 10 साल में. But today, why we can see big dreams of achieving a 10,000 crore? Because we have vision. So same vision has to be there in politicians also, who are the leaders, and that will is very important wherever, be it on a government level or for businesses.
And sir, state governments may you see the difference in approach. So you are dealing with various 28 states you just mentioned. So there is a difference in approach.
Yes. Difference in approach is there definitely. In few of the infrastructure departments, the heads are engineers. In few of the infrastructure department, head are IAS. So they're looking at the projects is very different. Like engineer, I am also engineer. We are involved in the projects emotionally. Whereas bureaucrats like IAS, they are looking at in a broader angle. So engineer can do a better structure. IAS officer may do better visionary things, considering all the environment.
Correct.